live on a Tuesday with the High Priestess Phoenix. I am your spiritual healer, teacher, shaman, seer, oracle, lightworker, starseed, earth angel, mystic, medium, psychic, witch, guru, yogi, and messenger of God on a Tuesday. Sorry, I was lighting an incense. I posted something in my community page about the incense I got, and I really need that. I need some peace right now. Oh, God is busy. I was just about to get in the bath. I was like, hold on. I need to just sit with this. I just need to sit with this. Towers by the hours, y'all. So, what happened? Well, my lift. I'm going through a tower in reference to, am I going to give up my car or am I going to freaking keep my car? Right? So all weekend, the possibility of losing the car was, presented to me, and I just was okay with it. I came to acceptance of I might have to let this car go and move on with my life, right? And then certain things happened over the weekend. It just kept coming up. And that's it. It's like the challenge isn't over. This isn't over until a decision has been made. And that's where I'd sit around and I let the decision be made for me. But then there's these points where you have to make the decision. You've seen everything there is to see, and now you're in control. You always know when you're fighting the dark night of the soul because there's nobody else there with you. Your guides have stepped away. God has stepped away. You feel real cold, alone in this situation. This is your moment. They're there to catch you after whatever happens, but this is your moment. They gotta stand back. They can't force you to make your decisions. It's your free will. So here's what happened. So I get the email. I think everything's going to be fine. I think they're just going to add my leftover amount from last week. God tells me last night, don't go outside in that cold. If you want to pay off this car, then you drive this car and pay off that way where you're in the warm. I'm like, yeah, that makes more sense. So then this morning, it appears that I can do exactly what God says. Pay off the car, through the car, and return the car. You know what I mean? But then I get an email afterwards that says, return the car. Otherwise, you're facing impound fees. And your account is on hold. So they add all this money to my account, but they won't let me. But I go to push online, and it still goes online. So I'm very confused about what's happening. It says that I have until the 17th to pay this shit off. And I have to return the car within 4 days. So I'm confused. It's all mixed messages. So I call Lyft, and they're like, you need to talk to Hertz. And I call Hertz, and guess who answers the phone? Mr. Positivity that doesn't like negativity. I'm like, I am so grateful to talk to you. I was like, I don't think your positivity is going to fix everything, but at least it makes me feel better while we go through this. And so I walked through it, and he's like, we can make the exception for the 20 rides, but I can't renew your contract unless you pay last week's amount. He's like, I was like, well, what about doing the rides? He said, you can do it, but you're taking a risk. Our back of house, sometimes they see those within a couple of minutes. Sometimes it could take weeks for them to hit that repossession. But once they hit it, you're in trouble. They're going to charge you not just these 2 weeks, but they're going to charge you a $650. And they have your credit card online. Or they have your debit card online. I was like, oh, fuck, you're so right. You know what I mean? Like, way to freak you out, right? Like, they're coming for their money if you don't give them their money. And I was like, so he's like, I was like, so can I do the rides? He's like, you can, but I can't guarantee you, you know what I mean? It could hit tomorrow and then they just turn off your account and you did all of it for nothing. He's like, oh my God, Becky. So the next thing is, he's like, can you get the money? How much money do I have? Bro, I can't even make this up. I got like 325 and it's 313 to pay it off. I go back to zero, basically. I think I have another 20 in my purse. But I go back to starting with nothing. Which, if you go back to where I was before God gave me all this money to catch myself up, I had nothing. So I go back to where I started from. But at least I start fresh with a different intention. And that goes back to this car. Okay, so the whole time I was facing this whole thing is, you're not utilizing this car. You're not doing what you're supposed to be doing with this fucking car. You know what I mean? You're not appreciating it and using it for what it's for. Do you want to just give it up? Yeah, I sure do. I'll just give it up. Fuck it. And then it looks at it. It's like, okay, here's where I'm looking at. Look at where I'm standing right now. If I give him this money, I have a way to make more money. If I don't give him this money, I have no way to make more money. I'm left with just my car that I haven't got fixed yet. They didn't fix it yet. And I'll still have to figure out ways to make more money. Now, what I realized when I was standing there and all this happened, it's like you learn to appreciate the things you didn't appreciate, and you learn to fight for the things that you weren't fighting for. In the sense of, I didn't give a shit about this car. I wasn't doing it. I'm not doing it. I'm not gonna fucking, I don't give a shit about it. In the sense of, I really give a shit now. I really care about it now that I'm facing all of these realities. Yes, I may not have appreciated it before as I should have, and what it was capable of doing in my life and how important it was to my life, but I have a huge appreciation of it. Now, as I say this, and I'm talking about my car, which is basically my job, my livelihood, sometimes, and that's where I looked at, all of a sudden the mirror turned on, and it's like your guys' relationships. Some of you might have some really great relationships that you haven't appreciated, and maybe they could be better if you put more time and love and energy into them. If you really accepted how important they are. And you really worked on, you really gave more into it, you probably would get more out of it. And that's them correcting my message last night. I was like, you can't make your relationship better. Perhaps you could. You can't make them better, but perhaps if you were better in your relationship, the relationship would be better. And that's what I was, again, metaphors. I can't see things your way. I can only see it from my eyes. And God puts things in my way so that I can have compassion for my situation, but people outside of my situation. I can see the similarities and the struggles we're having, and I can understand why you're struggling. And as I find a way through mine, I can encourage you to find a way through yours. Not all relationships are broken. Some of you did actually find God gave you a real serious blessing for the rest of your life that you've been neglecting. And that goes back to me. I was the blessing to many men that neglected me. And had they loved me more, our relationships would have worked. Had they given me more attention, had they appreciated me more, had they understood how, what value I really brought into this relationship, it could have worked longer. And that's where it is you walk out because you're not appreciated, you're not loved, you're not getting attention, you're not that. And that's where it is my car is like, I don't appreciate it, I'm not loving it, I'm not giving it attention, which is my job. This is what I said was my job, and I didn't take my job serious. And I'm just saying that because now I'm looking at it, it's like you're about to lose it. You have a chance right now to give up everything and fight for this, or just give it up, and you're going to have to start all over somewhere. But this is, in the sense of comfortability, it's like, no, it's not comfortable, but you can make this work. And it could work out well for you if you'd work harder at it. That's going back to, do I need a new toy? What fucking job am I going to do that gives me my freedom like this? None. I need to change, in order to change my life, I need to change the way I view it and how I think about it. And, and that's just it, is in that moment, those tower moments, you see things differently, and you're like, all right, I know what I was thinking, but now I got to think different about this. In the essence of, I'm going to be stressed out if I don't work for this. And then you look at it, it's like, why didn't you work sooner? Because I didn't appreciate it sooner. I didn't see it as an importance till now. You're like, why wasn't this important? That's just how we are. We put so much emphasis on different parts of our lives that we think are so much more important than what's really, and that goes back to the card. It's like you're missing, your everyday matters. You're missing what matters. And I was. And so now I'm in a place where it's like, I'm going to have to clean up my own mess. I'm no worse than I was this whole time. I'm right back where I started with the car when I pay this bitch off. But I'll have a clean, a clean slate. And my payments are lower, so all I got to do is work off this week, and then I can start making my money back. But if I just start spending money, I'm not making money. And that's not to say that, God's not going to provide, but he's showing me that it's, he's showing me what's going on and where I come into play, where I need to play in this. I have a play in this too. I can't just sit around letting him take care of all my decisions. I need to make some decisions of my own. And so I wanted to share that with you because it's difficult, but at the same time, it's like money is not, you got to understand some of the things. It's like, why didn't you go to work last night? Why didn't you work all this time? You have to understand why. And that's it too, is like, I don't have any regrets. I just know what I'm supposed to do going forward. You know what I mean? That's it, is be, change up some things and put this into my programming. Hey, you need to go out and drive every day now. We need to do this. We need to get back on a schedule of this. We need to make this a schedule so that, you know what I mean, you're not this, so this can benefit you instead of hurt you. That's just the truth. I mean, if I do give it up, and I was willing to because I didn't want to fight for it. I didn't want to put the effort it took into it. Not thinking about how much effort's going to take it, out of it. I'm like, God will take care of it. God will take care of it. And he does. He will take care of certain things. But when he says, and that goes back to that card last night, Cersei, when he gives you the determination, you go without hesitation. I didn't have to think twice about it. I just had to make sure I had enough. I didn't have to think twice about it. You know what I mean? I have to do this. In the essence, it's like, you know what I mean? I can get back that $300 by this weekend as long as I take care of myself. And then everything's good. But as far as, burning my connection to Lyft, that's not good, bro. That's not good. And again, they want to work with you, but they know it's unfair too. As we said, I get it. He's like, you didn't get a chance to make no money, so and that's it. It's like, if I didn't have this money, and again, God gives you stuff to cover you. You're like, where'd all that money go? Do you really want me to write this down? I'm not a splurger. I didn't buy myself new clothes. They were given to me for free $99. You know what I mean? The homie hookup. Shit like that. I paid for a hotel for days. I had to pay for our phone bills. We bought a couple of fucking meals. You know what I mean? Cigarettes, gas, my $6 bag of weed. All this little shit adds up. Everything adds up to where you're like, damn, yeah, bitch, it costs to live. Isn't that some bullshit? But in the sense of, it's like, what did you think I was going to do? Hold on to it forever? Like I didn't have needs? Like we didn't have to pay for shit? Like we didn't, you know what I mean? That's that lack mentality. And that's where I am right now. No, you better hold on to your money. Why? I'm going to need more. Let's talk about, you know what I mean? And that's just it. It's like, I just want to point it out. It's like you could have avoided all this. Maybe if I saw what was happening, but I wasn't paying attention. And that's okay. God was there and he made a plan. You know what I mean? And that's it. It's like, I didn't have any money. This was all for God's grace. You know what I mean? He gave me money to plan all this out. And he'll give me more. You know what I mean? It's not the end of the world. But your decisions that you make can make things a little bit more difficult. Meaning I would have had to work harder. Like, what am I going to do? There's ways to make money. There's always plenty of ways. But it wasn't going to be as convenient. And that's what they pointed out last night. It's like, you're going to go out and stand in the cold for 12 hours to make, you know what I mean, $250 when you could just drive around in your car in the warm. It's like, yeah, you got a point. And then this morning, it's like, if you don't fucking pay this car, you're not going to be able to do shit like that. That's a good point. And that's what I saw too. When I was doing it out of desperation, where I said, fuck the airport rides, I'm just going to stay here in Denver. I could do 20 rides and I was making it, anywhere from $160 to $200 a night. It took fucking hours and it made me tired, but that's what people do every day is they literally work, 5 to 8 hours a day to make the same amount of money and they're just as tired. So in the essence, I was working hard for my money, but not like everybody else. And so, it's just these growth moments. It's like, it's time for you to get a job. Again, they're trying to push us back out into the matrix. And, baby steps. And it's like, this isn't a difficult decision for me, but I want you to understand how God walks you into these difficult decisions. You know what I mean? It's like, why didn't he just put you to work? Because they gave me the breaks. Partial breaks on Saturday night or on Sunday, where I could have drove all Sunday to do the minimum and none of this would be existing. But he didn't, in the sense of, I could have, but it was all about learning. He stands, you know what I mean? He stands in your way. Not really. What stood in my way is the learning of this situation. Had I not, none of this, if I would have just did what I always did, we wouldn't be right here with me with a new appreciation and an understanding of what I really have. Meaning, I would have done the 20 rides, paid off whatever was extra, and just fucked off and not done any rides until the weekend again. I had made this a fucking a habit. You know what I mean? So we have to break this habit and make better habits, form better habits. I wasn't even aware of it until I became, and that's it. It's like, it doesn't, you're in control, but you're being guided into destruction. Your own destruction so that you can, rise from the ashes. You're creating your own fucking fire so that you can rise from it. That's what it is. It's like, you can say completely self-created, but ultimately divinely guided. Why? So I could learn a lesson and you could learn a lesson. What'd you learn? I learned a lot. Out of a trial, a tribulation, fears, uncertainty of what's to be, you know what I mean? I faced a lot of that. Just learning a lesson to have more appreciation and fight for the things that you do have in your life. Don't be so quick to give up everything. And for me, as a fucking, a fart in the fucking wind that has to, detach, that won't allow myself to attach to anything, it's a next level of, evolution. It's like they teach me all of this only to be like, okay, now you got to learn all the opposite. This is the opposite of what you taught me. I know. This is chaos. I know. Welcome to the, the balancing act. See Hosea I can't say it. Hosea Queasy. I can't say it. Hosea. I can't say it. That's weird. I just wanted to point that out. So ultimately, I'm going to go in and take care of all this. But where in your life have you not been putting in the effort and appreciation of the things that God has given you? And you're very close to, you're willing to sacrifice them with no understanding of the sacrifice you're about to make. Is the lesson to be taught to the community and what I learned. They're hard lessons. I'm a child of God, just like you, bro. You're like, how come you didn't catch this sooner? How come you're not catching your lessons sooner, fuckers? Are we really judging each other on how we're learning? We're learning hard lessons that don't make sense to other people, that are very childish in essence, but we need to be reprogrammed. So have some patience, some understanding, and be like, don't kick your ass like, damn, you did this. No, understand why and what was guiding you, what you were thinking, and just, have grace and have those talks with yourself. That's it. I mean, fuck, what am I supposed to say? God brought me to it. He's going to bring me through it. But I have to make the decisions, and so do you. And, that's it. It's like I was willing to give it all up. And that goes back to, I said it yesterday in those relationships. They make you do these visualizations of imagine it happened. It's over. They've left. They've moved on. They're living with it. You pull up, you're driving down the street and you just happen to see them come out of a house and you see that they have the life that you thought you were going to have with this person. You know what I mean? They're married. You see them with their children, And it was a whole visualization of accepting what could be, and how does that make you feel, right? And that's where I went through, and the feeling was no fear. Okay, now you've seen that it's, what it is. Now let's go back to it. Do you want that to be your future? Do you want that to be their future? Are you, do you want that happiness for them? Do you want to see them with someone else and kids? I go back to that. There was, I said that cryingly to Russ. I think we were probably, maybe a year in. It's like, Russ, I just want you to heal yourself and one day walk up to me and introduce me to your wife and to your children. You know what I mean? And that was it last night. It's like, in the beginning, you think that you want them to be with you, but in a true unconditional love is, I just want you to be happy, bro. Even if it's not with me. Even if I never see you again, I just want you to be happy, bro. Like, that's all I tried to attain with you, is happiness. I was trying to be happy and bring you happiness. And it made us unhappy. I just want us to be happy again. You know what I mean? That's what that kind of means, is that kind of understanding and closure. But again, some of you do, some of them, God was fucking fortunate and gave you guys good people. I know it's true because I was a good person. Do you know what I mean? I was. And, you know, it didn't work out with any of those. But in the essence of it's like, you know, you've got, even if you haven't had one, you know you are one. So you're a good person in a relationship. So you know there's other good people that are in bad relationships. Everybody's good. They just don't know how to be in a relationship. Period. Don't know how to be in a relationship. You know what I mean? How do I act? What do I say? How do I treat you? And we've talked about a lot of this is your outbursts. Your inner child acts up when this person isn't doing or saying what you want them to do or say. That's any relationship, intimate or not. Co-workers, your family, the fucking people on the streets, anyone, dude. Your inner child acts up at these people because they're not doing and acting they're not talking. You know, they're not acting how you want them to. So you act up. How does that make them act better? In the essence, we can't make them be better. They're not doing anything but living. But the way they're living seems to bother us and make us act up. So we need to work on us and what makes us act. We can't work on what makes them do what they do. That's too much work, bro. We're not psychologists. If we are, then we should be putting all that psychology into ourselves. And that's what we do over here is the self-healing journey. A lot of it, you know what I mean? Self-healing is self-reflection, self-analyzation. You know what I mean? We will eventually transcend the self, but not until you fully understand thyself. You know what I mean? So just going into it, it's like, well, I feel like a putz this morning. I feel like God's child, for sure. Like, oh, here we go. And the essence is like, I turn to my kids and I got to explain myself to them too. And I got to explain, I had to learn a hard lesson. We're right back where we started. And that's my kids. They've known. We've gone without that. They know that we'll have. You know what I mean? And that's where you learn, you build trust in God. It's like, you know what I mean? Knowing that you are content with what you have. You don't need more. That was my lesson yesterday. It's like I'm supposed to be content with what I have. And I wasn't. I didn't say that I needed more. I just wasn't valuing what I had and, you know what I mean, respecting it. And that's what we talked about, your houses too, your habitat. Are you respecting it? Are you valuing it? Are you putting love and energy into it? And that's, you know, some of you with so much materials, you can't give your materials as much love as, you know, you love them. So just want to give you all of that. I'm going to jump in the shower and I have to charge my phone. It is below freezing. If I showed you outside, it looks like New York. I feel Chicago, New York out here. It's cold. It's Chicago, New York. I feel it. It's fucking Midwest freezing. That's what I feel. Eastern freezing. It's freezing. But that's what we're gonna do is we're gonna sacrifices have to be made and fights, you know, and that's what it said too in the card is you're gonna have to work harder. You're gonna have to work hard. We're gonna have to work hard to dig ourselves out of the mess that we made. But, you know, only to learn our lesson. We made a mess learning a lesson. You know what I mean? That's like it. It's like when you paint a beautiful picture, you make a huge mess. It's all over the place. You know what I mean? When you're creating, you're making a mess. When you're in the kitchen making dinner, you're making a mess. You know what I mean? When you're in your room fucking cleaning it out for spring cleaning, you're making a mess. When you're in your closet, you're making a mess. Only to make a beautiful masterpiece. It's messy. And that's it. It's like, you know, how did I get here? So that you can see the bigger picture. It's a messy picture. But it's a beautiful lesson inside of that picture. And that's artwork in general. What were they thinking when they put this picture together? The fuck was I thinking? Let me explain myself. See, when I made this stroke right here, when I made this movement, I was thinking about, you know, my future. When I made this movement over there, I was thinking about my husband. When I made this movement, and that's just it. It's like, know thyself. What the fuck was I? Why? How did I get here? Oh, God, you brought me here. Lovely. Why are we here? What's the lesson? There's a lot to be learned. And that's it. Once you learn a lesson, it's like off to learn another one. And that's where I teach you in my tarot cards. And the Fool continues the journey. That's how we go through the cards. Well, we learned that card. Let's go on to another card. We're going to learn another lesson in this one. The blessing is the learning. You take that knowledge and wisdom and you know how to apply it later when that card comes up. When someone pulls your card again, You know, you could, you know what I mean? When they try to pull their bluff on you and shit, you know how to play your cards right now. It's like, oh, okay. Again, we started with the full card yesterday. Make sure you catch my video from last night. Pulls it all together. We'll probably be doing a reading. Again, I'm in no hurry. I just have to go pay this shit and get to work. Lovely. I'm gonna take a bath and a meal and a nap and wrap my mind around. Just kidding. Probably. Life goes on, dude. There's no destination. Learning our lessons is the destination, and we have so much to learn in such a little period of time. There's so much we haven't learned. You know what I mean? We're really ignorant to God and what He's doing and what He really wanted us to learn while we were here. We learned a bunch of weird shit that, you know, we could put on YouTube and TikTok that could help others, but in the sense of we're not really adulting the way He told us to. Some of us still don't know how to tie our shoes. Hey, I love you guys. I learned my lesson. I hope you learn a lesson from my lessons. Be a blessing. Later, haters.